What is considered lesbian sex? What's up, beautiful humans? It's your girl Amber, and today I'm about to answer all the questions that you gave me about what is lesbian sex. I asked everybody on my Insta story and they gave me so many questions. And literally I'm looking at this list like, whoo, some of these really blew my mind, y'all. Like, you know, Google is a thing, right? And you know there's plenty of lesbians on the internet answering these questions, right? So let me just say that. Before I start this video, I just want to remind y'all about some educational sexual videos that I have, like how to give good head part 1, how to give good head part 2, and strap etiquette, amongst other sexual videos. But I just want to put that out there that if I don't answer your question specifically, go look at those resources. Let's get into it. The first question that I feel like I need to answer, what is considered lesbian sex? For me, it's anything where two women are doing something that they can orgasm from, period. The next question that I got a lot that people ask all the time, because it's like a lesbian stereotypical question, is, do y'all really scissor? Is that a real thing? Yes, scissoring is a real thing, and there's so many different variations of it. Now, me personally, yes, I scissor, not the way that you think of, like the traditional, like people just think of bop, 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 bop. I mean, people do that. That's good for them. But me personally, imagine their legs like open and like I'm in between, and I kind of raise up to where both of our clits are hitting each other, you know what I'm saying? And for me, that's kind of like foreplay. We're getting in the mood. Maybe a transitional move, meaning if you're doing something and before you do the next thing, this might be a cool thing. Let's say I'm laying down and this area is my clit, right? The other person, the opposite way, on top. Both the areas are really hitting each other. I feel like that's a really good position to where you guys can both feel something. And then if you want to, you can slide like a thin little vibrator in there, and it also kind of spices up the action. And then you can also finger from that position. Oh, I'm telling y'all a lot right now. Am I sweating already? Okay, so the next question was, how do I eat punani properly? If it's my first time, how do I prepare? I'm scared to eat punani. Now listen, refer to those videos that I told you about. Understand that everybody kind of goes through this point. And if you're open and honest and talking to your partner and just letting them know, like, I'm trying to figure you out, so let me know if there's anything that you like or dislike. When I dove in on the first time, I was shy, but I was so happy that it was happening that I just dove into it. And I started just doing things that I imagined that I think that I would like. And then I just started reading her body language and her moans and was like, oh yeah, I think this is working. Let me keep this up. Yo, one of the weirdest questions that I got asked over and over was, how long does lesbian sex last? I guess what's crazy to me is that people don't see each other as humans. They just see like, oh, within your sexuality, you do this, so it lasts this long. And then because you're straight, it lasts this long. It literally is, every human is different. I can literally have sex with a human and she comes in 4 minutes, and the next person, she likes a multi-gasm for an hour. What feels good to you and your partner? One thing that I feel like I need to talk about, because I got this question a lot, and honestly, it's kind of ignorant and kind of pissed me off. I'm gonna be real. As a lesbian, it doesn't make sense that you don't like men, but you still use straps or dildos. To me, this is such an ignorant statement. It's like you don't understand women and women parts. Just because certain women are not comfortable with men doesn't mean their body parts don't work, and doesn't mean that they don't get pleasure from different ways. Like, men and their penis don't drive pleasure, y'all. So just because a woman likes penetration doesn't mean she's supposed to be straight. I just had to get that out of the way. And since we're on the strap subject, I have to bring up that so many people ask me strap questions. One of the #1 things that people ask me is, can you feel pleasure from strapping? Absolutely. There is different holsters that you can have that kind of slits on top of your clit, so someone giving it could feel good from that pressure. Or there's straps that vibrate that also feel great. Pretty much the answer is yes. They also asked me if straps or dildos or toys are an always or a necessary thing, and no, it's not. It's not always my go-to. I feel like there's so many other things that I can do before I get to that point. That's kind of like a build-up. That's not something I jump into. And that's something I would love to give y'all as a tip. Have a conversation first. Like, don't just introduce it and assume that every woman likes penetration, because that's not always true. And don't always assume that only femmes like penetration, because that's not always true. Someone asked me, well, can a stud be a bottom? Y'all, we are women. Yo, I have one of my most masculine friends that loves to talk about having her femme wife strap her. Everyone is different. So take those stereotypes out of your mind and literally blow them up and throw them away. I personally don't like penetration, but I understand the workings of a woman and how majority of women do. Now, the next question was asking me about G-spots, right? That's also in my How to Give Good Head Part 2 video, where I talk about the different parts of a woman and their different G-spots. So I definitely think that you should check that out. If my girl is a touch me not, how do I please her? This is a question I get all the time, and I completely understand, because there's some people that are just not comfortable with being touched. It may be something that they've gone through, they're just not comfortable with themselves, or they have some insecurity, or they just want to get comfortable with you for a while before they open up. There's other ways that they can be pleased, whether it's just like some action, you know, over the boxers, or a vibrator, or the strapping and the feeling of strapping. So talk to your partner or give them time to kind of open up and want to explore that side. How do you deal with fingering causing infection? Anything that you do down there can cause an infection. Someone can give you oral and something's in their mouth and that can cause an infection. You can use a toy and it can be clean and it still can cause an infection. Do the best you can in making sure that your hands are clean, your fingernails are clean, your fingernails are short, that you're using the proper cleaning solution for any toys that you use, but also that you're storing it properly too, to not build up bacteria. Our pH balances are pretty sensitive and can be thrown off. So it's not just fingering, y'all. So make sure that you're being as safe as possible. Is there always a top and bottom? There have been some times where I've been in relationships where that was clear, but then I've been in some situationships or relationships where that is unclear. You know, like one night I might be a top, and the next night my girl is aggressive and got us in there, and she's the aggressor for the night, so she's considered a top, right? But like I said before, throw those stereotypes out the window, because every human is different and our sexual experiences are very different. My girl comes quickly and then she's done. She like all the way puts her clothes on, but I want to come too. How can I talk to her about it? What happens if I come across a girl that doesn't give head? All right, so let me answer both of those, because that's not okay. It's just not okay to be a selfish lover. Like, you have to talk to your lover and say, hey, I feel like I'm pleasing you and I'm not being pleased. So if you have it in you to bring up those conversations, because you also need to get to the point where you realize that your sexual pleasure is important. And when you do that, it kind of helps you get the confidence to bring up that conversation. Either you gotta talk to her about it, just be like, hey boo, last night it would have been great if I was pleased too. I'm kind of feeling a little sexually frustrated. I would love to make sure that when we're done with our sexual experience, that I'm also pleased too. Or the other thing is, you gotta strategize correctly, right? So make sure you get yours before she gets hers. Obviously, when that happens, she's done. Now, how to deal with a girl that doesn't give head? Like I said, don't be a selfish lover, yo. If you want head, you gotta give it. If you wanna be pleased, you gotta please your partner, and that's how I feel, period. But I think it's really having that conversation and trying to understand why that person doesn't prefer that. And if there's another alternative that you like, that they might like, to make you feel pleased. But if you're not being satisfied, you gotta just move on from that person, because that's crazy. How to tell my wife that I want kinkier sex. This is your wife. Have that conversation. And I'm acting like this is easy, but it's not. I am a very shy person sometimes, and it's hard for me to bring those subjects up. Because of that, I find a way to give an icebreaker that leads us into that conversation. Like, I'll bring up a situation or like a scene from a movie or whatever, and it'll get us talking about something, and I'll be like, actually, no, I like that. That's something I'd be interested in. Have that conversation, right? Because at the end of the day, your wife or your partner should be like, yo, well, I want to try it then if it's something you're interested in. And one of the other ways that I feel like this subject got brought up easily is when we start talking about the subject of what kind of porn we like to watch. I don't know why, but this brings it out of you. You can actually go to watching it with that person, and maybe they'll have questions for you. I remember when I needed to tell someone that, like, hey, I actually like having head this way. Like, this will make me really get there. I was super shy and it took me a really long time, but then I had to come into myself and be like, yo, this matters to me. And I had to just do it. Squirting. Is squirting possible? Absolutely. And it's a beautiful experience. Listen, especially when they squirt because you took them to that next level. Is lesbian bed death a real thing? I haven't heard this in a very long time, so I had to go actually look this up again. But for those that don't know, are lesbians that are in a couple that stop having sex. There's stats that say that lesbian couples have the least amount of sex versus all kinds of other couples. And that over time, we stop having sex more and more versus all the other couples. But that's not all women. For me, I feel like over time that I get more and more comfortable with a person, I open up more and I become more sexual and explore more. And so I guess this is my way of keeping the relationship alive and fun over the years. Try to be adventurous. Try to bring in something that spices up your sex life. I think being interested and being intrigued by your partner will help your relationship last for a long time. Why do some lesbians rush and not know how to please? How do I help my girlfriend get an orgasm? Like I said, there's some people that think that they know what they're doing, but they're honestly not really that experienced, but they want you to feel like they're that experienced. And so they might rush through the process or something, but really just slow them down. Remember, our body is our temple. So if you're not feeling good about what's happening, speak up and say something. So if they're rushing, just be like, nah, boo, I don't like that. That's not good. Because some youngins or unexperienced people will look at lesbian porn and think that's how to do it. But lesbian porn is not made for lesbians. It's for straight men and women. All this shit is not made for us. But listen, just talk to that person and get them to know that that's not how they please you, and hopefully they will learn. Now, with your girlfriend that hasn't gotten an orgasm yet, I really think that it's just about taking time. I find that a lot of people are really scared of people going down on them or don't have orgasms because they're stuck in their head. They're not able to kind of let go. And it's almost like a control thing because they're kind of scared of what could happen. Get them to be comfortable and let go. And so within that, it might be some oral, might be some penetration, or a combo of both. You can never go wrong with a combo of both. Okay, you guys, that's all the questions that I can answer this time. But if there's other questions, put them in the comments below and I'll do another video in the future. And also for my YouTube people, don't forget that I post regularly on my Instagram and my Facebook page. Those links are down below. So make sure you guys follow me and check those videos out. All right, y'all, I love you so much. Stay amazing, stay proud, and stay woke. Peace.